Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Lagos. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Suspected insurgents have killed the Emir of Gwoza in Borno State, Idrissa Timta, in an attack along Tashan Alade in Bug local government area. The Secretary to the State Government, Babajida, made this known in a statement issued in Maiduguri. The Borno SSG says the three traditional rulers who drove in the same vehicle were on their way to Bug to pick the Emir of Bug. The four traditional rulers had planned to drive in convoy to Gombe State to attend the funeral of the Emir of Gombe, who was to be buried on Friday. The late Emir was recently elevated to the position of a first-class traditional ruler by Governor Kashim Shettima. Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters says it has uncovered a plot by some groups to embark on a campaign of calumny aimed at discrediting the military. This is contained in a statement signed by Director of Defense Information Chris Olukolade in Abuja. The statement says the campaign was aimed at indicting the military and its operation in the northern part of the country. The statement alleged that the campaign was expected to forcefully whip up sentiments of genocide allegedly targeted against a particular religious group. It added that the perpetrators also hoped to use it to gain some mileage in the drive to secure international attention. The statement, however, advised the public to watch out and not allow themselves to be hoodwinked by what it called the acts of infamy orchestrated by desperate group. The movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta suspended all acts of sabotage, including what it describes as incessant attacks on oil and gas pipelines. The military group is also demanding the release of Henry and Charles Oka from detention as a condition for dialogue with the Nigerian government. MEN spokesman Jomo Gbomo said in an open letter to President Jonathan that the gesture was in response to the olive branch he extended to all aggrieved groups in this Democracy Day speech. The group also demanded the suspension of court proceedings and presidential pardon for all its members, either convicted or awaiting trial. MEN admitted that it carried out the October 1, 2010 bombing to counter the impression that it no longer existed after a number of prominent militants had accepted government amnesty offer. Henry Oka, a leader of the militant group, is serving a 24-year term in South Africa in connection with the 2010 Independence Day bombing. His brother Charles is also facing trial over alleged involvement in the attack. Reactions continue to trail President Jonathan's declaration of outright war against insurgency and the offer of amnesty to repentant terrorists. Bed Okoro, who went to town to feel the pulse of the nation on the issue, filed in this report.
Reactions continue to trail President Goodluck Jonathan's Democracy Day broadcast to the nation, directing security forces to launch a full-scale military operation to put an end to the insurgency in the country. Legal practitioners Femi Falana and Chukwemeka Eze, both in an exclusive chat with CoreTV News, berated the government on timeliness of the directive and the capacity of the nation's armed forces to carry out the operation.
The president didn't say anything new. The belief of the government is that there are some of the members of the satanic force that may want to lay down their arms and embrace amnesty, while the rest will have to be fought to a standstill.
In his usual manner of doing the right thing a little bit late. This one is a little bit late. But I think he has succeeded in proving those that said we should handle Boko Haram with kid gloves wrong. Because many people have been saying you should pamper them, you should do this now.
The Nigerian armed forces have the capacity, having regard to the record of performance in peacekeeping operations around the world.
On the presidency's offer of amnesty to the members of Boko Haram, Falana agrees that it is a possible way out of the current terror attacks.
The last time government did that, the Boko Haram sect said it was the government that needed amnesty from them and not the other way around, because the government for them had committed grievous, iniquitous offenses against their members.
Examining the presidency's directive and offer of amnesty from a security perspective, Richard Amuwa, a security expert, advised for a cautious approach in order to prevent a reprisal attacks.
My question to Mr. President is that, are we launching this, this full-scale war right, now with all these children with Boko Haram? If we are launching a full-scale war against Boko Haram at this time, the point here is that, are we praying or are we working to bring these children back alive? Because sincerely, going full-scale war now will really, will not all go well.
With this president's declaration of total war against insurgency, Nigerians wait for the days ahead to reveal to them if they can go to sleep with their eyes closed. Bido Koro, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Now, there seems to be no end in sight to the leadership struggle in the fold of Ogun State's All Progressives Congress. The factional leader, Olusegun Oshoba, has sealed any hope of reconciliation with Governor Ibikunle Amosun. The former governor made this pledge while speaking on his loyalists in Abeokuta at a consultative forum. Olajumoke Olatoji was there.
That all is not well within the fold of the All Progressives Congress in Ogun State is an understatement. Olusegun Oshoba, who was executive governor of the state between 1999 and 2003, is a loggerhead with incumbent governor Ibikunle Amosun over an issue that is not clearly defined in the public space. This development led to the party having two state executives, as the last APC State Congress was conducted by two parallel bodies, the Amosun faction and the Oshoba-led group. Former Governor Olusegun Oshoba vowed never to accept any more of the governor's pretended regret of his disregard for constituted authorities. He assured that none of his followers will work for Amosun's return to power, nor will accept commissioner's position from the governor.
These APC factions, Oshoba factions, is the authentic factions in Ogun State, authentic ESCO, you understand, and is the owner of the party.
You harmonize where there's an agreement. You accept begging where you know there's sincerity in the begging. But where you know there's no sincerity, there's no agreement, you stand on your feet. It has happened severally. We are fall victims of this kind of a thing. And that is why we decided whatever happens, we are not going back. What is operating now has nothing to do with the success of the party. The only danger, the only fear is if we pick somebody out of this group, it's going to be a total failure.
This is not a Oshoba faction. This is not a faction. This is an authentic APC in Ogun State. The matter of harmonization did not arise because, in the guideline sent down by the National Secretariat toward the wards and local government to the state congresses, they have stimulated that those who paid their nomination fee at the ward level are the eligible candidates for the party.
However, Oshoba and his loyalists were not certain if they will defect from the APC before the 2015 general elections.
Well, you wait for that. By the time it is time, you will say that is the wish of the people they have expressed. So they must have seen one or two things to express such a feelings, but what will be the outcome, we will know later.
English people will say once beaten, twice shy. For someone who you gave an opportunity once to turn back and face you, I'm very sure you will think twice, not even twice, you will think deeply before you allow such person again. So that is the situation on ground. There is already loss of trust. There is no trust between the two parties again. So there's no way we can harmonize. I can only say, let's wait and see. The event is unfolding, and very soon we will all see where we are going and where the whole thing will end.
As political gladiators battle for the soul of Ogun APC, no one knows for sure what the fortunes of the party will be in the 2015 elections. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
The National Industrial Court will on June 13 decide whether to go ahead with the suit filed by suspended Central Bank Governor Sanusi Lamido Sanusi to challenge his suspension by President Goodluck Jonathan. This was after Defense Counsel Mike Ozekume had told Presiding Judge Babatunde Adejimo that all the parties have filed an appeal against the decision to transfer the case to the court. He made an oral application for a stay of proceeding pending the hearing and determination of its appeal by the appellate court. Justice Adejimo noted that Section 47 of the National Constitution, the National Industrial Court Act, empowers the court to hear motions before it, but decided to wait till the appellate court takes a stand on the matter. Ozekume later told journalists that the Federal High Court ought to have struck out the case since it
Sanusi
ruled.
feels that Justice Kolawole should have heard the matter, that he shouldn't have declined jurisdiction. So on that ground, amongst others, he's appealing to the Court of Appeal. He wants the matter heard by the Federal High Court in accordance with according to them, Section 251 of the Constitution. We, on the other hand, agree with the judge, Justice Kolawole of the Federal High Court, that he had no jurisdiction to hear the matter because of Section 254 of the Constitution, as amended, had overtaken Section 251. Because Section 254 deals with matters concerning employment, labor, industrial relations, and trade union matters, and that Sanusi's appointment was employment related.
The proposal by the National Conference to have religious bodies pay taxes has come under heavy fire as religious leaders continue to condemn the move. Islamic scholar Ishaq Akintola and a Christian leader Emmanuel Falodun said the government has not justified taxes collected over the years. They made this known during the visit to our Lagos studios. Omotayo Alo has details.
Many religious organizations in the country are now running multi-billion naira investments which are regarded as religious ventures and thus not taxable by government. Recently, this drew the eye of delegates to the National Conference who engaged in heated arguments to put forth their different positions on the issue. However, religious leaders who will be directly affected if the proposal is accepted and included in the Nigerian Constitution are now speaking in total opposition to the proposal.
No, churches should not be taxed because the people that contributed the money must or should have been taxed from their own place of employment of labor. So if that is being taxed again, then that is multiple taxation.
When you talk of tax, it should be moderate. It should be affordable. There should be human angle to it. It should have a human face. But I know that it is only what I have that you can tax. You can't tax me for what I don't have.
Ishaq reasoned that if the government recognizes that the prayers of clerics is what holds the country together, then they should be ready to make some little sacrifices on behalf of religion. When asked if the proposal to stop government sponsorship of pilgrimage is in order, the both responded that the government should not withdraw its support for religious activities.
Instead of thinking of halting government support for pilgrims, they should stop corruption in government circles. Number two, they should stop the practice of favoring government officials on the issue of sponsorship.
It should not be that the government is giving it out to the churches and to the mosque and they are taking it back at the same time. The local government is to give 10 slots and they are the one that decides, and even you check maybe there are not really genuine Muslims or leaders or church leaders. So that should be looked into. Once that is done, I think it's okay.
On terrorism, the religious leaders encourage all to join hands with the government in prosecuting the war on terror. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV News live from Lagos. Join me again after this break for more stars.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Glad to have you back. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow us on our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. And as well as on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, and news. Outside Nigeria, Ukraine claimed it had regained control of swaths of the separatist east, even as Washington expressed concern over the appearance of fighters from Russia's war-ravaged region of Chechnya among the insurgents. The rebels, for their part, dismissed speculation of a rift in their ranks after a dozen local militants were evicted from the seat of power in Donetsk, by a military brigade comprising largely of Chechens and other Russians from the volatile North Caucasus. Both Kiev and its Western allies have long accused the Kremlin of choreographing a 7-week insurgency that has shaken Ukraine's foundations, a charge that Russian President Vladimir Putin denies. But the recent appearance among the separatists of trained gunmen from Chechnya, a mostly Muslim region that fell under Kremlin following 2 post-Soviet wars for independence, has fueled fears of the conflict being transformed into a proxy war involving elements from other unstable regions of the former Soviet Union. Ukraine's acting defense minister says his forces were in high spirits despite the downing of a military helicopter on Thursday by the rebels that killed 11 soldiers and a general. Pro-Russian militants seized about a dozen towns and cities in the 2 eastern industrial regions in response to the popular ousting in Kiev of a Kremlin-backed president. Rebels in control of the Lugansk and Donetsk government buildings have declared independence and are seeking a merger with Russia, similar to that accomplished by Ukraine's Black Sea Peninsula of Crimea, following its seizure by pro-Kremlin troops in March. And that's it on CoreTV this hour. Do join us again at the top of the hour. Coming up shortly at 8:30 is The Dailies. Please stay with us.